I'll tell you the last monkeys that we got from the FDA, several monkeys died under anesthesia and the animal rights community got involved. They called Jane Goodall, and when Jane Goodall talks, you listen. She wrote a scathing letter to the commissioner at the FDA, and he said they're all getting out. They were in nicotine addiction studies.
This is so horrible.
I mean,
It's so unreasonable.
well, I couldn't believe. I said, "You don't know that nicotine is addictive? What's the deal?" Well, here's what the deal was. They bought really young monkeys and then monkeys who were adolescents, a little bit older, to see who they could addict the quickest and who were the most difficult to get off of nicotine. Young kids are easier to addict.
Welcome to Plant the Change. I'm Michelle Fosnot, founder of Solid Rock, Florida, Solid Rock Community School, and Sanctuary at Solid Rock. We're a forward-thinking, eco-advanced nonprofit specializing in K-12 education. Hello and welcome to Plant the Change. Today we have a special guest whose life embodies Solid Rock values of compassion, perseverance, and hardcore work ethic. Kari is the founder of Jungle Friends Primate Sanctuary, which is a nonprofit primate rescue. Jungle Friends Primate Sanctuary provides permanent, high-quality sanctuary care for New World monkeys and is also committed to advocacy and education on behalf of all captive, non-human primates, and to provide assistance to improve the circumstances of captive primates wherever possible. Welcome, Kari Bagnall. So, Kari, can you tell us why you founded Jungle Friends Primate Sanctuary? I know that's such a big question. And what inspired you to start this organization?
It's kind of a funny story. I had an ex-boyfriend who wanted a pet monkey. I'd never heard of such a thing. And I talked him out of it for about a year. And we were living in Las Vegas. And he came home one day and said, "I found a breeder right here in Vegas. We need to go see this little monkey." Okay. So we go and see the breeder. And here comes this tiny baby white-faced capuchin riding on the back of a standard poodle. And I asked the breeder, "How old is that monkey?" And he said, "She was born on December 18th. And my ex-boyfriend now said, "That's an omen. That is my birthday." So I knew I was done for. So anyway, got the monkey, opened up the crate. Monkey went to him, me, and stuck on me. And there she stayed for years. And the novelty quickly wore off. I was an interior designer decorating his new home as she undecorated it. So he decided he was going to get rid of the monkey. I decided to get rid of him and keep the monkey, and that's where it all started, with one pet monkey. So I advocated for, monkeys aren't pets, and on the news and everywhere I could. Monkeys don't make pets. So they all started bringing their monkeys to me. And I lived in a subdivision, and people started, "You're right, they don't make good pets. Here's mine." So I became a sanctuary before there were sanctuaries. I didn't even know what I was doing. So that's how it all started.
Wow. Okay. So what is the primary mission of Jungle Friends?
My goal is to not have any more captive primates. I won't be alive when that happens. I hope it does happen someday. But monkeys do not belong in your homes. They don't belong in a zoo. They don't belong in anywhere in the lab. They belong in the wild. That's my mission, is to, first of all, get as many monkeys to safety as possible. We're working with different bills trying to get the monkeys out of the labs. We have about half of our monkeys are from laboratory research. The other half are from former pets. They were confiscated for abuse and neglect charges, or they were just running loose. People don't realize that monkeys have thumbs and they can open just about anything.
So several years ago, I came to you and I said that, I was interested in learning about primates and your sanctuary. And, I have this school and we're considering starting a sanctuary. And I'm telling you this. So let me ask you a question, because I'm telling you, I have a school. I have a K through 12 school, and I'm interested in having a sanctuary involved with our school campus because I want to be able to teach more about empathy and compassion. And as I'm telling you this, did you take me seriously or think I was crazy?
Oh, no. Well, I knew you were crazy. That goes without saying. However, I was so happy to hear that because my passion has always been kids and animals, the people and animals without a voice. So I was a CASA in Las Vegas for 8 years. Here they call them guardian ad litem, working with kids through the court system. And then when monkeys came into my life, it was all monkeys, and I was not able to do the nonprofit work with the kids. So when I heard you are working with kids and wanting to teach them about the care for animals and what don't make good pets like monkeys, or tigers, I thought, wow, this is great. So I was really excited and still am enthused about your work.
Yeah, it's one of those things that when I talk to people that I was originally talking to a few years ago, many of them were like, no, I didn't take it seriously. So when I came to you at Jungle Friends, we learned a lot. So at that point, we're investigating and researching sanctuaries, and we're going all over and looking at everybody's stuff. And I think we learned a lot of what to do and a lot of what not to do. And, it was exciting. It was interesting. It was scary, everything. I loved your enclosures. I thought they were really great. And I saw a lot of great enclosures, a lot that I would not want to have, but I really loved yours a lot. And then we had staff members that were coming to you and they were learning about primate care. Mm-hmm. How many primates do you have right now?
Right now, 197.
Okay. So I know I was like, oh, we're going to have so many primates. And because I'm listening to you and everybody else talk about how there's nowhere for these primates to go and we need so many homes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I'm so excited. Now that I'm in this, reason has come across me. And I'm like, okay, it doesn't take 200 primates to teach about primates, right? Obviously, our sanctuary is involved in a K through 12 education. It's connected to a school. So our purposes have some differences, right? But we definitely share a common commitment to promoting animal welfare and educating the public about the importance of compassion and empathy. And I know that we're already doing some things, but how can we better support each other's goals? And I know we're constantly talking about that. We were talking about that this morning.
Exactly. And we align so well because there are a lot of sanctuaries that are not vegans. Now, I don't know how you can have a sanctuary and still eat animals myself. So we've always been aligned that way with the veganism and caring for the animals and teaching kids, because we have homeschools that come out that we teach at Jungle Friends. The problem is most of the schools, they want you to bring animals, which I am not going to bring a monkey to a school to teach the kids. And so they had just called the zoo, and the zoo will be happy to bring out animals to the schools. So I was so happy with your I love your school and the kids and teaching them not only humane education, but now teaching them about the proper pets and what they need. It's just amazing. And how far you've come in such a little time. I can't believe it, because a lot of people...
I can't believe it.
I know.
I can't believe it.
So many people have come to me, I want to start a sanctuary. I go, okay, come on over and volunteer for a bit. And they're gone pretty quick.
Yeah.
Pretty quick. So hats off.
Yeah, thank you. And when I'm asking that question, I guess I'm also asking it for viewers watching, because, and this is something I talk to a lot of our guests about. There's a lot of people who want to start a sanctuary or start a rescue or start a rehab. It is hard. It is not for the faint at heart.
No.
It is 24/7, 7-day-a-week work. I mean, when after you've been doing it a while, you might get a day off or a few hours off here and there, but animals don't take vacations. They don't take holidays. You're dealing with feces, urine, vomit. I mean, it's tough stuff, I actually am not someone who would be out here suggesting that schools start a sanctuary. I do not think it is practical or sustainable for most schools. So I'm not advocating for that at all. What I am advocating for them to do, I'm advocating for other schools to get involved with sanctuaries and rescues, to partner with them. Because before we were ever doing what we were doing, and I know that's how I met you as we were starting that process, but before we did that, we spent the last 10 or 15 years being involved with sanctuaries and rescues, where we took our students there and we did cleanup help and support and field trips and things like that. I think every school should be doing that.
Right.
You know, and so I want schools to hear that, because that's a way schools can partner with you.
Exactly.
Also, right? Because you could be partnering with 50 schools doing that, you know, and I want you to be, you know, I want, our partnership is different, you know what I mean? But I want as many schools as can be partnering with rescues and sanctuaries, because it is the best way to teach kids about compassion and empathy.
Right, exactly.
By including animals.
And once they meet a monkey face to face, I mean, it changes you. That's why kids should come out. We do have a lot of kids that come out. They're mostly in college at UF and stuff, but I'd like to start a little younger. And the monkeys are very dangerous, but we do, you mentioned our habitats. So our habitats are really large, and we want them to be as close to the wild as possible. We call it almost wild. So we've had some kids come out now who are under 18 with their parents or guardian, and they've been helping do the habitat enhancement. And what's so cool about that is we have the kids, well, now we've got hammocks and rope ladders and this toy and that toy and these balls and plants. We've got tons of plants to plant, and we have them do that and decide where they want something. And it's really great, because then after they finish the habitat, we move the monkeys in, and they go, oh, the monkey liked my rope ladder, or, you know, they're pulling up my plant that I just planted. So, you know, it's really nice when they get to see that and see the monkeys enjoying doing monkey things. They need to be with other monkeys. They need to have fresh air, sunshine, plants, and real things to do. You know, that's why we'd really like to partner with more schools.
Yes, and I would love that. I would love to see schools everywhere partnering with their local sanctuaries and rescues and shelters. I think so much good can come out of that for so many, and I think that that would be a wonderful thing. So I'm really like appealing to schools to do things like that. I think it's a really great way to educate your children and bring out the compassion and empathy that's there. You know, what a better way to do it than by helping animals.
Exactly, and kids are born with it. Most people love animals. They've just been brainwashed. So if you can get the kids at a young age to really care about the animals, that, you know, monkeys are my thing, of course, but I've had farm animals too, and to get them to see both sides, because they do love animals. You know, kids are born loving animals, and people love animals. They just have to got to break the whatever it is that's stopping people from caring like they really want to.
So tell me what a typical day at Jungle Friends looks like. When you wake up, what's going on?
Well, there's no typical day at Jungle Friends, but first thing, it starts at 6:30 in the morning, and we prepare the monkeys' food. We want to get their food out and their meds out. So that's number one, get all their food and their medications out. We have had lots of monkeys on insulin, because the former pets, a lot of them are diabetic because people don't eat right, and they certainly weren't feeding their animals right or their monkeys correctly, so we do have a lot of diabetics. We have only one who's still on insulin right now, and he came in on 25 units of insulin probably about 3 years ago, I think, and now he's down to 5 units. We will get him off. And we've gotten every other one off, but he came in when he was 30 years old, and nobody thought we could get him off insulin, but we're going to do it. So we make sure that that has all happened. And then that's difficult, getting the insulin injections. That's the hardest part of the meds. Otherwise, we put them in grapes, and it's so funny because you have to cut off the top of the grape and open it up and dig out the core of the grape, put their medicine in, put the core back, put the top on so they don't think you've tampered with it. So just giving their medicine is a feat in
And
itself.
out of the 200 primates that you have, how many are on medications?
Oh gosh, we have about 5 rounds of meds a day. We have 18 monkeys on Prozac. Even if they're born in captivity, they know in their heart of hearts something's wrong. Yeah.
That is so sad.
And then we have them with everything. We've had them with cancer. It's the same thing humans get, the monkeys get. We've got one on thyroid medication and heart medication. We've had a monkey that just had a stroke. We have an aging population. So we have monkeys in their 40s, and they're not supposed to live that long. We had one capuchin live to be 53.
Wow.
We have the oldest squirrel monkey who is 30 on record right now. So we had a tamarin that was 28 years old. They don't live that long. So our vet just says, they just really like it here. So I think that might be one of the reasons they enjoy their time there. But there's a lot that goes into it that people don't understand. You've got to not only know what their meds are and hand them out, you've got to know what the side effects are and be watching for that. And everyone needs to know. And then when you go out and feed, you check the waters every day. And as you feed them, we feed them 3 times a day. You're looking at every monkey. You know, any little cut or scrape or bump or lump that we find is reported, and then we see what's going on with them. And we also have a hospice philosophy. So they are allowed to live and they are allowed to die. And it's very rare that we ever do euthanasia. When we have to, if they're terminal and we cannot control their pain. Of course, we don't want them to live like that. But we want them to be with their families, their monkey families and their human families, and be able to die more naturally if they can. And usually they will. And if they don't, if they die at the vet, then we bring their bodies back and show their friends and their family that they're gone. Because if you don't,
They're confused.
they don't know what happened. You know, my friend disappeared. Where is he? And they're lost calling all the time looking for their friend. So it's really heartbreaking to hear that. So you always want to show everyone who knew that monkey that they have gone. And they're different, just like humans are. They're so different in their reactions. It's really amazing.
I know you taught me so much about the monkeys, the primates, when I was there, and about their personalities and the way some will turn around and show you their tail, and it means they're being submissive to you and they love you, and then others are telling you that to get away and they don't like you. And I'm like, I know that I've even recently called you and said, okay, the marmosets just did that.
Yeah.
Which one were the marmosets? Were the marmosets the one that are loving you or hating you when they're doing that? We've had one marmoset do that one time to one person, but then after that, they were giving him the sexy love tongue.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, okay, he's changed his mind.
Yeah, and it's so different because a slow tongue means something different than a quick tongue. And after we feed and medicate everyone, then it's time for cleaning or enhancing their habitats, which is a lot of fun. I love doing habitat enhancement. I like putting up perches in different places. The enrichment part of it.
I love that too.
Not so much cleaning their bedrooms. And we have to do that every day. And some of the monkeys, like Mad Max, you remember Max, his bedroom is always tidy. If he accidentally poops in it, he throws it out. His bedroom is always so tidy that it's amazing. And when you give him his medicine, he'll hand you his cup back because he doesn't want a dirty cup in his enclosure either. And then there are some monkeys that think it's the bathroom. Like, what? So it varies on how long it takes you to do that. But we clean every day and rake under their runways, because we have the runways that go around to the different habitats in different areas. And we put their food on the runways, so when they drop their food, we can go and rake up around the sanctuaries to stop the critters from eating their food at night, the night critters. Then everyone has lunch. The monkeys have lunch, so we collect their diets, which their diets are, we have so many different kinds of diets. We have diabetic diets, we have special needs diets. Older monkeys and even baby monkeys that we're trying to put weight on. And then we have toothless diets because so many people, especially the pet monkeys, or take your picture with the monkey and all that kind of nonsense, they pull out all their teeth. So we have crock pots going every day so that they have cooked vegetables. And if a monkey who has teeth is in with the toothless monkey, they get toothless diet also, but we also put in other harder vegetables and fruit too, because they'll scrape it with their fingers and make applesauce out of the apples, or squash peanuts with water and make peanut butter. So they love doing that. So we have a variety of that. The spider monkeys they get twice as much. So we have different colors for different bowls, so that everyone needs to know what the diet is for every monkey. Then we go back around, we pull their diets because we don't want them to be out because it's got fresh produce and oatmeal and pasta and, fun things like that that's cooked and just fresh, that we don't want to stay out for longer than about 4 hours. And so we pull that, and then we replenish their biscuits. And their dry food bowls are biscuits and popcorn, peanuts, nuts, cereal, different things like that they enjoy. Just to have something different. So we try to change it up every day, have something a little bit different each day for them. And then we go around and rake under the runways, and someone's always doing habitat enhancement because we need to keep that up, especially in the summer because everything is growing so fast. You can watch the grass grow, and we want to be able to see the ground to make sure that everything's okay, no snakes are in there or whatnot. So we go in and weed eat and replant because they love to eat plants. So the banana plants go the quickest, and the bamboo, they eat the little shoots, the new shoots out of bamboo. And in the wild, they'll travel for miles looking for bamboo plants. So we have bamboo in every habitat and banana plants. And there's so much that grows. Our property, the dirt is black. So you drop a peanut plant starts growing. We've got papaya plants growing. We had corn on the cob growing, cucumbers, tomatoes from, they're seed dispersers. So we've got all this cool stuff growing everywhere. So they're eating a lot of real food, which they prefer. And then we go around for another round of meds again. And because we have morning and evening meds, and we go back and do that and take another look. So we have morning rounds where we check on every monkey, and then throughout the day there are people going around, and then in the evening we do evening rounds. And if the vet's there, our vet comes once a week, and he does rounds on everyone who has a plan of action and wants to check on the monkeys who were in trouble, out of surgery, not doing well, and he checks on everyone when he comes out. And then if we have an emergency, we're lucky because he lives 10 minutes up the road and he's retired. He's been our vet since we got to Florida, so it's almost 30 years.
Wow.
And he's always volunteered. And he was working in the lab as the veterinarian for the lab monkeys. So he's the one that actually started us getting monkeys out of research. So we're very thankful about that. The first time I went into a lab, we steeled ourselves to go in and see. They're very proud of their monkeys in all these little boxes. And we left there crying, but we got them, all out. And then the different labs talked to other labs, and we started taking in a lot more monkeys that were in research. And at the end of the day, monkeys are diurnal. So they're up when the sun comes up, and they go to bed when the sun goes down. So by the time the sun goes down, we're finished with the day. Of course, the marmosets and tamarins, they are the first ones to bed and the last ones to get up. They remind me of my sister. And they're like that even in the wild. I think it's because of predation or maybe availability of food sources. I'm not sure why, but it's like that. So people love to work in Munchkin land where they live because it's 7 to 4. Where the capuchins, it's as soon as the sun comes up and then when it goes down, that's their day.
And so what kind of monkeys do you have?
Well, we have several species of capuchin, about 5 different species of capuchins, and spider monkeys, 2 different species of spiders, squirrel monkeys, 2 species of squirrel monkeys, marmosets, and tamarins. And we've got 2 different species. We have 2 different species of everyone, except the capuchins. We have more than 2. But those are the families.
So how do you go about rescuing and rehabilitating all of these different primates? And then can you walk us through the process from the time that you rescue them to integration?
I'll tell you the last monkeys that we got out of from the FDA, they were, several monkeys died under anesthesia, and the animal rights community got involved. They called Jane Goodall, and when Jane Goodall talks, you listen. She wrote a scathing letter to the commissioner at the FDA, and he said they're all getting out. They were in nicotine addiction studies.
It's so horrible.
I mean,
It's so unreasonable.
well, I couldn't believe. I said, "You don't know that nicotine is addictive? What's the deal?" Well, here's what the deal was. They bought really young monkeys and then monkeys who were adolescents, a little bit older, to see who they could addict the quickest and who were the most difficult to get off of nicotine. Young kids are easier to addict. They're harder to get off. If you could addict a child to nicotine, you've got a customer for life. Who do you think was paying for that? Big tobacco. At the FDA, which was crazy, I thought. So we had 26 squirrel monkeys that were coming in. The FDA had never released any animals before, so they weren't real thrilled about it, and they didn't know what to do. So we worked with them on how to do it, and the problem was that we could not get the funding to build for them or care for them until we actually had them. So what we had to do was we had all of their lab cages shipped to us along with the monkeys, and they had to live in our clinic, in our Bob Barker Medical Clinic, in their lab cages, which was so hard to see, until we built. And it took us several months to build for them. So what we did was, we call it bringing the outside in. So we would have to train them because they had really specific diets, very little variety. All of their sunflower seeds were out of the shell. So we gave them shells and shelled sunflower seeds, and they loved breaking them open and, finding new treats. So we put in different new food items every day. They were also only used to metal enclosures and PVC. So we'd have to add like kale. I love kale. So we would give them kale, and they loved it. And they ate it, tore it up, and then we'd bring some of the outside plants in and pine straw that we put in the bottom of their enclosures and start bringing things that were outside in so they wouldn't be afraid of it, to just throw them outside. And then we also introduced them to the different foods, and our monkeys love hammocks to sleep in, and they love to cuddle up in blankets. So we always have to be real careful with that because they don't know what they are. They're afraid of them. So we can't, when we start to introduce with those guys, we put the hammocks on, we just clip them to the outside of their cage so they could kind of see it, look at it, so it wasn't going to get them or hurt them. Then we started putting them inside, but not near food or water, so that it wouldn't keep them away from their food or water. Now everybody is in hammocks and all these cuddly places, and they've got blankets that they can wrap up in, but it takes a while because they're used to one thing, and now they're going into a whole new world. And so that's how we do it, is just little at a time. And we had several monkeys come out of malaria studies, and they came to us and they were pretty much bald, didn't have any hair. And fresh air and sunshine does wonders. And the veterinarian who was the one who got them out of the lab and to the sanctuary came out about a year later, and she was just tears rolling down her face to see those boys. They had all buffed up, and their hair grew back, and I knew that. I knew it. They just need fresh air and sunshine. So if we could get the labs to even understand that, that's a big deal. To get the animals, to get them to stop researching on monkeys, it's the laws that have to be changed, because the law says first you must research on a rodent, and then a non-human primate, and then on humans. And I won't go into how you can't extrapolate information from this species to that, but it doesn't really work out real well.
Yeah, it's terrible. Things we do are just terrible, and so it's
crazy.
It's like nonsense.
Yes.
Yeah, we should know better than this, right? There might have been a time of life where we didn't know better, but now we do.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous that this kind of thing is still going on.
Yeah.
And I do believe that most people are against animal testing. How this is still occurring in today's society.
Yeah, because it's the law. So we've got to work on changing the laws, and that's what needs to be understood.
So what would you say are the most common reasons that the primates need rescue and rehabilitation? What are they coming in from? And I know you've touched base on some of this,
Yeah,
but
right.
be a little more specific.
So the labs, they're finished with them, or they're told to close or find homes for the monkeys. The pet monkeys, we've had them come in at just a few weeks old and had to bottle feed them throughout the night. We have a monkey who will carry the babies and let the babies nurse on her, even though she's not lactating. So it's great when we can have her raise them, because then they're more like monkeys. And she has raised 5 youngsters. She's got one right now that she's still raising. Mm-hmm. But we had one come in, little Scotty. You remember Scotty when you were out there. And he came in, the person who had him called the vet and said, I think my monkey got into my chocolate because he's having a seizure. And she said, bring him right in. Now, monkeys aren't like dogs. They don't have an issue like dogs do with chocolate. So she was a little skeptical. Anyway, so the vet did blood tests and found in Scotty's blood was methamphetamines and caffeine. So he was such a mess. I can show you, I think you've seen the picture of him when he got here. He looked like he was in a concentration camp. He was skin and bones. Now, he's amazing, and years later he's doing fine, but when he got here his legs didn't work. They just kind of flop over. So he couldn't cling. I took him in with Monkers, the monkey who's raised a lot of our youngsters, and he just couldn't cling to her, and tried but couldn't. So we had Scotty monkey sitting, where every 4 hours someone had to give him a bottle, but we switched it up because we didn't want him to get attached and bond to one person. And he lives with Harriet Houdini,
Okay.
the monkey, we call it. Well, we named her Harriet Houdini because she's an escape artist. She obviously escaped from someone because she had a harness on her and she was skin and bones. We don't know how long she'd been out, but she was also a youngster. She escaped from animal control several times and another sanctuary once. So far, knock on wood, she's still at Jungle Friends. So he's living with her. Okay. And Kuda. Remember, Kuda's the one she's kind of shaped like a C. She has horrible metabolic bone disease and was dwarfed. So she was really small, even though she was 30 years old when we introduced Scotty to her. She was about his size, and she mothered him and groomed him and did his nails. And she's still with him. And then when Harriet came in, she was about the same age, about the same size. So those 3 are all still together and doing monkey stuff.
Yeah, I love all the monkey stories. I remember a story that you told me that really is it's sad, it's touching, but I think people hearing it is important to know. So I know I was talking to you about like hurricane preparedness and what do you do and this sort of thing. So that's conversations that we've had. And I know that most of your primates will have an inside home that they can go into, but there's some that don't. And so they get, they put in a cage and brought into a safe building. And I remember you telling me this. You said, when you catch the monkeys that were pets, they go into the cages screaming and yelling. They're so mad they don't want to be in a cage. They're fighting you. But then when you take Sorry.
I know it's hard.
It is, because it's so sad.
Yeah.
When you take the lab monkeys and you put them in a cage, they don't scream, they don't fight. Instead, they do this, and they just don't do anything.
Pat.
That
hurts.
Yeah.
Me so
You said to me,
much.
you said that, and you were tearing up when you told
Yeah,
me.
it's hard.
And you said to see, you'd rather them be yelling and screaming and fighting you.
Yeah.
You want them yelling and screaming and fighting, going in the cage. It's the ones who don't.
Right.
Because the lab monkeys think they're going back into the
Yeah,
lab.
they're like, oh, here I am again.
Yeah.
And it's called learned helplessness. And they know they're helpless, and they're just, oh, well. And that just hurts me so much. And now we only put the white-faced capuchins in because none of them were in labs. They were all pets, and they're all screaming and yelling at you when we do.
Because of you telling me that, as we've built our things, I always take that into consideration as we're moving forward. Because I don't want to ever have to be in the position to do that. That is devastating, and we don't have any from labs at this point.
Right.
Ours are all coming from the pet trade. But the thought of that, it's heartbreaking to me.
Yes. And fortunately, we just got the last of the funding for the shelter-in-place project.
Good.
And we are working on building for the other 18. There's only 18 now that don't have a place to shelter in place, and that will be done. Well, it was supposed to be done before hurricane season, but hurricane season wasn't supposed to start in June.
Well, and they're calling a bad one this year.
Yeah, so I told our builders, get working on that so that we can get them all in there.
Stay tuned for more episodes and much more monkey business with Kari from Jungle Friends. The Plant the Change podcast explores how education drives societal transformation, nurturing compassionate and responsible citizens, and plants the seeds of change for a better tomorrow. At Solid Rock, Florida, we're a nonprofit committed to compassionate, humane education, an approach that blends academic excellence, ethical responsibility, and emotional growth. We're doing something unique, and we need your support to expand our impact and strengthen our efforts to create lasting change. Visit solidrockflorida.org and click the donate button at the top of the page to see our current initiatives. You choose where your contribution goes, and every tax-deductible donation, no matter the amount, is greatly appreciated. Show your support and stay updated on future episodes and initiatives by following Plant the Change on YouTube and Solid Rock on Facebook and Instagram, at Solid Rock Community School, and at Sanctuary at Solid Rock. Together, we can redefine the future of education and create a world that's guided by compassion and ethical responsibility. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep making a difference.